It's finally fall in our home and in our garden. We pulled these sweet potatoes out a few weeks ago and they've been curing in the garage. But while we waited for that, we used the leaves to make a fall-inspired dish. I just pulled the leaves off the vine, put them in a pan with a little bit of oil, salt, pepper, and garlic, and they were delicious. But even though I love all flavors of fall, right now pumpkin is the #1 flavor of this season. So today we're making a healthy pumpkin spice smoothie, savory pumpkin sourdough discard crackers, pumpkin cookies with bourbon vanilla icing, and we'll check out my small suburban pumpkin patch. Of course, the pumpkin spice latte reigns this time of year. You can check out my pumpkin spice latte video in the link in the description box below. But one of my other favorite things to make this time of year is a healthy pumpkin spice smoothie. For this, you will just need a ripe banana and frozen pumpkin puree. If you prefer a really cold, thick smoothie, you could even freeze the banana prior to. You'll also need almond butter, milk, maple syrup, and pumpkin spice. You could use any type of butter that you prefer. We are a peanut-free household, so I like to use almond butter, and in this case, it's actually a mixed nut butter. That's all I had. For smoothies, I don't really measure anything, so you can put in more or less of each ingredient as it suits your preferences. Throw everything in a blender, give it a whirl, and you have a delicious breakfast that includes fall flavors. Now, I know not everyone likes the pumpkin spice flavor. In fact, my husband actually doesn't like it very much. So that's why I like to make other things that include pumpkin and these feelings or vibes of fall, but without the spice flavor. And I love these sourdough discard pumpkin crackers. Just a heads up, they taste like Cheez-Its with the texture of a pita chip. They're delicious. To make these crackers, you just combine 150 grams of sourdough starter discard, 100 grams of pumpkin puree, 170 grams of all-purpose flour, 35 grams of butter that's room temperature or slightly melted, and 5 grams of salt. I like to divide the dough because it makes it easier to work with. So take one part of your dough, put it in between a piece of parchment paper, and you can begin rolling. I really think about pushing down on the dough and spreading it out so that way it's nice and thin. The thinner you get them, the crunchier they'll be. If they're too soft, they'll taste like a tortilla. Once you've rolled them, or in my case, smushed them as thin as you can, put it on a baking sheet, and then you can drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle it with some salt and pepper. Really, you can season them however you like. Bake at 320 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes or until golden and crunchy. Do keep in mind that these will get crunchier as they cool. That's delicious. With the salt on top, I really recommend putting coarse salt on top because that's really good. And how cute is this crunch? Now they sell cracker cutters, but I just crumbled them up and we threw them right into this soup that's made with homemade bone broth. It was delicious. I actually have a video for this broth and soup in the description box below, so be sure to check that out. And here's the world's smallest pumpkin patch. I planted 1 Cinderella seed and 1 fairy tale pumpkin seed, both germinated, and they are growing. But I follow the North Carolina State University guidelines for planting these in fall, but I'm not sure if we're going to beat the frost. However, I do have a number of male flowers blooming, which you can see here. They tend to bloom first, and then down the vine, the female flowers bloom, which you can identify because they have that cute little fruit on the bottom. I still have plenty of pollinator plants, but I'm not sure if there's enough pollinators for this season, so I did hand pollinate that 1 female flower. We'll see how it goes in a few weeks, but in the meantime, outside of pumpkins, I do have a nice bumper crop of peppers growing, so we're excited for this as part of our fall harvest. Pumpkins or no pumpkins in the garden, we are still enjoying pumpkin in the kitchen. I made soft pumpkin cookies with the bourbon vanilla icing. You can snag the recipe for this in the description box below, but this is like every other baking recipe. First, you mix together the wet ingredients and separately the dry ingredients. I like to mix together my dry ingredients and then fold them into the wet ingredients in 3 parts so that way I don't overwork the dough. But what I like about baking this time of year is not only does it invoke like the fall cozy vibes that we all crave, especially after a long summer, but it also cultivates a feeling of togetherness. Often my daughter really likes to bake with me. We enjoy these treats together. And this seems extra important this time of year because we are really busy and tend to spend a lot more time apart in fall with work and school. So these cozy, sweet recipes are a chance for us to be together.
We got love that we'll never need to hide. Love will always rise above. Whatever comes, we be just fine if I am yours and you are mine. Take my hand and let's fly away to another galaxy. Hold me close, I want to feel your love. Together we are free.
Once your cookies are out of the oven and cool, it is time to glaze them. So I actually took 2 dozen of these cookies, pre-portioned them, and threw them in the freezer to bake later. So I only glazed a dozen. The glaze is a combination of powdered sugar, bourbon. I used homemade vanilla bourbon. A few months ago, I took some vanilla beans and put them in a little jar of bourbon and let them sit. I used that, and then also maple syrup and then water to achieve your desired consistency. Just dip the tops of the cookies in the glaze and then lay on the plate and let them dry completely. It just takes about 5 minutes. And then I sprinkled them with a little bit of pumpkin spice for added flavor. These were not the most beautiful cookies I've ever made, but they were delicious. And even my husband, who doesn't like pumpkin spice, ate a bunch of these. I hope this video inspired you to enjoy the flavors of fall. You can get all these recipes and more in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel where we elevate the everyday from scratch and at home. And I will see you again next time.